What's up, DC Nation? Back to another DC Comics review, and guys, today we'll be going over Batman Secret Files number 3. So guys, 5 stories, 5 writers, 5 artists, and 5 ratings from me. So it won't be a super long video, like it's not gonna be as big as like that Joker 8th anniversary or like the Catwoman 8th anniversary, but it's also not gonna be like super short. It'll probably be around like a 10-minute video or so. So if you're ready for that, then let's dive in, alright? But before we get into it, if you like the video, give a big thumbs up, new channel, make subscribe, so this is my next DC Comics review. And yeah, I like to go over these annuals or like 8th anniversaries or different like specials. Because going over like the regular comics like the Batman series, Justice League, Flash, those are cool. I really like doing that. But I also like going over these other comic books. Like Joker 8th Anniversary, like certain comics like these, sometimes you'll find a story in them out of all these stories that are so great and I just want to talk about it. So yeah guys, without further ado, your review to Batman Secret Files number 3 starts now. So guys, the first story on this list is called Don't Hold Your Breath. And it's a pretty interesting one. It's written by Vita Ayla and it's actually drawn by George Demez. And guys, if you've been on this channel for a while with me, then you know I'm a big fan of George Demez. His art's really good. The art in the story looks amazing. George Demez draws Batman, Cheshire, all like the panels. It's very interesting and it makes the story better than it actually is. Like the story itself is not really great. Like it's pretty simple. It's pretty much just Batman versus Cheshire because Cheshire is there to kill a guy. He's a good man and Batman wants to save this guy. But Batman's also trying to redeem Cheshire because he kind of sees her like Nightwing. Like Nightwing was kind of lost. Dick Grayson was lost before Bruce took him in and pretty much made him a better man. So that's what Batman's trying to do with Cheshire is pretty much, hey, I'll take you on, I'll help you out, you become good. You don't have to be bad. You don't have to be assassin for like the highest bidder. But she says no, they fight a little bit. Batman actually loses because he pretty much gets focused on helping her instead of actually beating her and actually saving the one guy. And it turns out that Cheshire actually wasn't there to kill the guy. She already killed him. She already poisoned him and she was just there to check up on if he was dead and to fight off against Batman. She wanted to see how she'd do. And she actually did pretty well. She actually poisoned Batman. Batman barely gets away. He gets saved by Leslie Thompson. And then he's like, well, I'm not going to make a mistake to try to redeem her ever again. And that's the story. It's pretty simple. Like the fight itself was really great. And George Demez's art showed it very great. But the actual story is not very memorable, and it's not the best story in this book, but still not bad. So that's why I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's passable, like it's good, but it could have been better. But yeah guys, let's get to the second story in this book. Now, the second story is called Hunters. Another simple story too. All it is pretty much Batman, Green Arrow, they team up to fight off against Malcolm Merlyn. Malcolm Merlyn is there in Gotham City to kill Batman. He's been watching for weeks, and Green Arrow's like, hey, don't underestimate him. And what Batman does is, he kind of does underestimate him. He goes in to try to save a girl from like a burning fire. He saves the girl, but Malcolm Merlyn puts 3 arrows into his back. Actually, that was like 2. 1, 2, 3. 3 arrows into his back, and Green Arrow barely saves him. Like Batman tries to fight off, and actually, in a way, Batman gets himself out of the situation because he gets the girl to safety, but he hides in the shadow, beats Malcolm Merlyn. Green Arrow shows up, takes him down. And Batman, they get out of there, and Green Arrow's like, hey, I told you, you should not underestimate him. Batman's like, well, I did a good job. You took a little while. And the whole thing that kind of wraps this up is at the beginning of the story, Green Arrow's like, hey, why you wear a cape? Doesn't it slow you down? And Batman's like, no, I like the cape. And at the end, he's telling the little girl, well, I like the cape. So I guess that wraps it up. But that was just kind of like okay, it was kind of a funny joke by Green Arrow, but at the same time, not very interesting. So yeah, the fight was cool. Again, the action was really cool, and some of the artwork was pretty good too, but the story itself, very simple and not very great. Like, it's probably one of the weaker storylines in this book, and that's why I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it's not that great. Like, it's okay. You can still read it, but you'll get more out of me. Like, if you want to see Batman and Malcolm Merlyn fight, you'll like it, but other than that, not much. But yeah, guys, let's get to the third story in this book. The third story in this book is by far the worst, alright? This one was super simple, alright? Nothing really there. Like, I like simple stories sometimes when it's actually written very well. Like, that's fine. Straightforward storyline that has action stuff, that's great. But when it's so simple that I can pretty much summarize in probably 10 seconds, well, actually, let's see. Pretty much Batman versus Mr. Teeth. Batman beats Mr. Teeth, saves the girl, and that's it. Pretty much, that's it. Yeah, that was under 10 seconds. It's that simple. And the art is by Riley Rossmo. And Riley Rossmo's art, I'm not a big fan of usually. Like, he does do it more horror vibes, like the Joker 8th Anniversary. And I will say, does kind of do better here. Because this is kind of like a horror vibe story. Like, pretty much the girl's getting chased by Mr. Teeth. And Mr. Teeth looks kind of like he looks creepy. He does. So he almost catches her. The panels actually by Rossmo kind of helps it. He does a lot of panels and actually puts up the suspense. But at times his panels are kind of like mixed, and it's kind of hard to tell. But when you can tell them and actually pretty much convey them, it looks very good. But yeah, the art overall, it's not the best from Rossmo, but it's also not the worst. It's kind of like middle of the road, and that's just okay art for me. But the story itself is not good. I don't like it. It shows nothing from Mr. T, it just shows us another Batman villain that's such a one-off, and then Batman beats him so easily, and that's it. It's not a lot of content. So that's why I'm going to give this story a 4.5 out of 10. I don't recommend it at all. You won't like it. I didn't like it. Like, you may like it if you just want to see Batman punch a guy, like, sure, but I wasn't a big fan of it. Like, it was by far the weakest one. But yeah, guys, let's get to the fourth story in this book. Now, the fourth story in this book is actually called Afraid of America, and it's written by Dan Waters, which I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, and drawn by John Paul Leon. And I actually really like this one. This was actually a really good one, because it shows, like, the artwork's very good by John Paul Leon. And I'll actually get to one of the pages in the story that just looks really good. It actually surprised me. I looked at the page for probably like 2 minutes. Like, stop reading and I just analyzed that page. It looked really good, but I'll get to that soon. Pretty much the story is Batman versus the gunsmith. And the gunsmith can make anything into a gun. And he kidnaps some hostages. He gets his one brother, kidnaps him, and gives the other brother a gun. And he's like, hey, if you shoot Batman, you kill Batman, I'll give your brother back. So Gunsmith takes his other brother up to the roof and pretty much waits. And we see Batman show up. He's like, hey, Gunsmith, you don't have to do this. This is not right. Like, you don't know who I am. I'll actually beat you. And Gunsmith's like, yeah, that's what you do, Batman. You show fear, right? You go after people. And the boy shows up and has a gun right to Batman's head. Like, he's ready to shoot him. And he's like, you're going to take me in. You're going to try to get me. You have to understand. I'm just doing this for my brother. And Batman's like, I'm not going to take you in. I beat villains, but I also will actually understand your situation. But the boy shoots him right in the shoulder, and that page I was talking about is right here. It looks amazing, guys. Like, pretty much the shadows, the colors look really good. Like, John Paul Leon, his art is really good. I really like it. Like, some of his art is just like solid, but this certain page right behind me just stuck out in the entire book. And yeah, I really like this story. It was really good. And how it wrapped up was really good. And just seeing Batman go against the gunsmith, with the gunsmith, I'm not really a big fan of his character usually, but here he looks really cool and his motives are good, Batman's motives are good, and I can understand the whole situation. So I thought it was a pretty solid storyline, and that's why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I recommend it, guys. Go check it out. This is actually probably one of the best stories in this book. Alright, guys, let's get to the final story in this book, and this one is actually the Joker War Prelude. Now, the fifth and final storyline is called Fool's Gold, and what we see in this is actually a Joker War Prelude. And we see Batman vs. Deathstroke right at the beginning. Looks cool, pretty cool. The art actually in this story looks really good. I like the art. But we see him fight, but then we go to a flashback why Deathstroke is fighting against Batman. And what we see is pretty much Joker and Punchline. Punchline is pretty much Joker's new assistant. If you want to hear origin, it was actually like Joker 8th anniversary, which I talked about in this video right here. But right here we see him show up, and Punchline's just there to pretty much assist Joker, but Joker talks to Deathstroke. He's going to give Deathstroke a deal. But Deathstroke immediately says no. He doesn't hear the deal. He's like, I'm not going to get into your crazy situation. And Joker's like, hey, it might be a good one. Hear me out. So what he says is, hey, I know the identity of Batman. It's Bruce Wayne. He has a lot of fortune. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal his fortune and use it to pretty much put all my big plans together. And then pretty much wage a war against Batman and beat him once and for all. But what Deathstroke says is, why you need me? Like, you got this all figured out. But Joe's like, but I need someone to distract him while I do all this. I'm putting all the plans together right now, but Batman's always catching up to me. I need people to distract him. And Joe's like, you're probably the best assassin I know. You can do this. Go fight him off and keep him on his toes pretty much while I carry out all these plans. And what he says to Deathstroke is like, alright, what you'll get, I'll get the Wayne Foundation fortune pretty much, and you'll get the Grayson Foundation. So we'll both get money out of this. And Deathstroke's like, alright, if you got the price, I'll go do it. So Deathstroke goes to fight with Batman. He's fighting against Batman. Batman takes him down actually pretty easy. He punches him right in the eye, which is actually a pretty cool part. I actually like when he punched Deathstroke in the eye. Deathstroke falls to the ground, and Batman's like, why are you here? And Deathstroke's like, I'm not telling you, but you don't know what's going to happen. Big plans are coming. He's like, it's actually kind of a funny joke. And Deathstroke just falls to the ground. And Batman doesn't even know it. Like, he's won the battle, beat Deathstroke, but he may have just lost the war. So I really like that. That was actually really good. But it's a pretty quick story, and I wouldn't call it a Joker War prelude. Like, it didn't really prelude very well. It just said, alright, Joker's recruiting people, he's going after the Wayne Foundation of Fortune to fight against Batman, and yeah, that's it. But if this story really has to get better, the Joker War, the upcoming event, it has to have more foundation. So right now, it's just, alright, Joker versus Batman, Joker's gonna use Batman's money against him. Like, that sounds pretty simple. It has to need more context to make the story in this big event better. But for now, the story was pretty solid. It's not the best, but it's still pretty good, and that's why I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I think it's passable. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the whole book, and it's a solid book. It's not the best. It's actually probably one of the weaker ones of the Secret Files thing. Like, the first Secret Files issue was actually really good. I like that. That had, like, Detective Chimp and stuff. The second one with the whole setting up, like, the City of Bane storyline, that wasn't as great. It was an okay issue. But this one's kind of middle of the road. Like, I wouldn't call it passable. So that's why I'm going to give this entire issue, Batman Secret Files number 3, a 6.5 out of 10. It's not the best, honestly. Like, it had that one storyline with Mr. Teeth was terrible. The other storylines were kind of just middle of the road. Like, the last one with, like, James Tynion, the Joker War Prelude, that was just good. The first two were just decent. Actually, the first one was decent. The second one was just kind of like, it was meh. The one with, like, Green Arrow and Batman. And then the other one, like, Afraid of America, with, like, Dan Waters and pretty much John Paul Leon was the best one. I thought that was really good, but at the same time, that was just solid. It wasn't amazing, so it can't carry this book to greatness. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much my review of this entire issue. I'd like to know your thoughts on this issue in the comments below. What do you think about each storyline? What's your favorite? What is your least favorite? And are you excited for the Joker War? But guys, if you like the video, give a big thumbs up to the channel. Make subscribe to my next DC Comics review. And actually, coming up this next week is Dark Knight's Death Metal number 1. And if you guys can follow this channel, you know I'm excited for that. I'm going to definitely have a review out for you guys on Tuesday, so stay tuned. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.